Well, wait, I'm not in frame. Okay, welcome back
Yeah,
to Let's Talk Puck. Welcome back to your. So I
I'm
only
your
filmed.
one and only guest.
You're
I'm
my
the
only
second
guest.
chair.
Well, I switched to a bi-weekly format.
Okay.
So I will have more guests on going forwards. It also just so happened that the timing of since you were last here, literally no one else, none of my other friends were also free to film a podcast episode.
Ah.
So I did one by myself and then
Oh,
took a week off because I actually did film one and uploaded one and I didn't really like the quality of it. And so then I deleted it and now we're back.
we're back.
So this is my official third episode and we're ready.
We're ready to
We're
go.
in the conference finals, not conference finals. We're in
We're
the
in the
actual
Stanley Cup
finals. We're in the
Finals.
finals.
Yeah,
We could be in the conference finals based off of the last time we filmed this because that was what round two was when we
it's
filmed
right
it.
after round two.
Yeah, so we have a lot to catch up on. Not much to say about the conference finals though, because
No, they were pretty open
they
and
were,
shut.
yeah, they
Yeah,
were. That was not long. And I read something where it was like since this playoff format was kind of incorporated, there has just never really been that a long conference final.
as in the like most recent update, or as in 8 teams on each side.
I think the 8 teams on each side. Yeah,
That's been around a long
I
time.
think it was been no, I think it was like the past like 20 years, 20 to 30 years. Um,
I'm trying to think of one off the
but
top of my
I'm
head. No. Yeah,
yeah, there hasn't been that long of a conference final in a really long time. Which is fine because I feel like people are really they're mostly tuning in for the like cup finals more than the conference ones, but I do think that's like interesting how
yeah. I wonder why that is.
yeah, I feel like it's just I think it's with like how they like kind of eliminate like that you're playing 2 and 3 and like so you're eliminating a lot of the like top contenders in the earlier rounds and they're kind of really going at it and then you go to the conference finals and you have like I don't know you've taken out a lot of really good teams in the earlier rounds and just with like I guess the way that things kind of flow into it. But I would say I feel like the teams you had like the Avalanche Knights just crazy upset. Like the Avalanche were favored
Wasn't even close. Yeah,
and they got swept so
yeah.
badly, which they were there were a lot of injuries,
But still, it was like
but still. And I think that if you take this was kind of like an MVP conversation of how like Macklin Celebrini wasn't even a consideration for the Hart, I think is the MVP one. But it was like weird because the NHL put it out as like the player that's most valuable to their team. And I feel like with the Avalanche, you see that a lot more where you take out like one player and they are kind of cursed. Like you take out Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, which is exactly what happened. They were so injured playing, especially by like game 4. And yeah, and then there they go. Which I mean, Nathan McKinnon was a finalist for it anyway, so I guess that
he's easily, yeah.
yeah. So I guess that makes sense. But and then Carolina, I thought that the Canadians were going to make it a little bit longer of a series based off of how game 1 went,
Yeah,
but I think it was just Carolina's rust. I think they needed a second to get back into playoff hockey. And I
that
think that
was
was
the
what
read
led
on
to
it
that.
I had. I mean, I was again, I didn't follow the conference finals super closely, but seeing game one results, I was like, oh, like maybe the Canadians have something, and then they did not.
They did not.
It wasn't even close. I mean, some of the games were close, but not.
They were tired. They were so tired. I not to say I didn't pick. I had in my bracket Carolina Canadiens in the conference finals for the East, and I think I picked Carolina in 6, which they were in 5, so I got close enough. But
You picked the Avalanche in the West.
I did pick the Avalanche in the West. I picked the Avalanche as my cup winners, so my bracket's already
I think most
set up.
people, yeah, I think that busted a lot of brackets. That
It
it being a
did.
sweep was the most surprising thing.
Yeah, and it was so bad to watch. It was I saw something that was saying that like the curse of Carolina passed on to Colorado because Nietzsche's, Drury, and Burns all went over to Colorado. And so they were like, it was never a conference final cursed on Carolina. It was just on those 3 players. And they went to Colorado and they brought the conference final curse with them to the West.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I hopefully they will have the like it's the President's Trophy curse all over again. It they just couldn't make it. I was hoping that they would at least get to like the finals though. So that was tough for them.
Yeah.
But we are at the time of filming this, which I think I'm going to post this probably tomorrow.
Okay.
So we won't have anything to talk about with game three besides previews of game three, which is tonight.
Yes, it is.
Um, but at the time of filming this, we have had two games and the series is tied 1-1, which I was worried after the first game that it was going to be a Vegas sweep in some way. It made me a little bit nervous. I was talking to my boss on Thursday, and he's played hockey his whole life. He's a big hockey guy, and he was kind of like on the spot right now. Who do you think's gonna win this game? And I was so stressed out thinking about it, but then I was like, I feel like it has to be Carolina because if they don't, then Vegas is just cursed. Like or like Vegas is gonna take it. Like they can't lose the first two games at home and then like go to Vegas and play there and try and say like it's the same thing that would have happened to Colorado. But then my boss was like, I also think Carolina because I don't think that they're gonna like lose two games in a row. Like I don't think they're gonna take or lose two games at home. And they haven't lost two games in a row since January.
I was gonna say they've
Yeah,
dominated the playoffs.
that is huge. However, if they go based off of that logic, they're losing the cup. In terms of like if they like win, if they alternate wins, Vegas took the first win, so they're losing the cup. But I think that tonight's game is going to be a pretty big decider of kind of how things go because if Vegas wins tonight, then I can't see it just going 1-1 and then they still lose or like Vegas taking two, especially for them to like be back at home now and like taking both home games and things like that. I like thought it was interesting because Vegas was leading. This game looked like it was going to Vegas. Game two looked like it was going to Vegas until pretty much the end of third period.
Yep.
And then like Logan Stankoven started like scored, and then they like rallied enough, and then like Carolina took the lead, and then Vegas tied it in the last minute of the game, and then they went to overtime, and Carolina just loves an overtime win.
Well,
um,
and Vegas loves an overtime loss. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's true. Vegas does love an overtime loss. But it's just I feel like if Carolina can take it to overtime, for some reason, these guys just know how to win an overtime game. And so I was surprised that they even like I guess like in the last 10 minutes of the game, just everything that happened, it pretty much just exploded. And I was like walking home from like Cisco because I spent the entire first couple hours of the game just watching it at Cisco. And I was like, Vegas scoring, nothing happening. 2-0, I think, was at the point that I like came home. It was 2-0. I was like, this is so boring. We're in the finals. Nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, like Stankoven scores, and then I forget who else scored. That was what I was gonna look up. For Carolina, Stankoven scored. Stahl scored. Jankowski. I think Jankowski had the second one.
Yep.
Um, but it was crazy.
Who scored the winner?
Was it Jarvie? I will look that up right now. But if you have any thoughts to fill the space in the meantime, please feel free to supplement that.
Well, I didn't watch a ton of game two, but I would say on the series as a whole, I would be worried for Carolina. Vegas stealing game one, or stealing isn't the right word, but Vegas winning game one does set up Carolina in a tough spot. I've been to the Golden Knights Arena, T-Mobile.
Really? You went to? Why did you go to T-Mobile Arena?
I was just in Vegas and I went to a game. That place gets loud. It's got a rocking environment, and I mean, Oakley, Carolina has their own home ice things, but for some reason, there's something in the desert that like
There's something
makes
in the South, apparently.
it's not very deep analysis or anything, but I think Vegas is going to be tough to beat at home. And I mean they've been mostly that way in the playoffs, I know, but
So it was Jarvie who scored the overtime goal
yeah,
on a power play. They had two power play goals, which Carolina's power play in the playoffs has been like all right.
yeah,
So them taking this win with two power play goals is crazy. And it was in all of it, all three goals were in the last 10 minutes of third period. So they had two goals for the first 2.5 periods of the game from Vegas and then four in the last 10 minutes, which is crazy. I will say because this I saw online or something where like there was a lot of people who or like some of the calls or something that the refs were making to like end the play, players weren't hearing because the Lenovo Center crowd was so loud. Like I heard insane things like people were wearing earplugs, like supposedly the crowd was just absolutely insane at the Lenovo Center that you actually like even the players couldn't even hear things over like the people cheering. It was crazy. So I mean, I think I've also seen people say like Carolina was basically like their tailgating culture because they're in the South, you know, and they college football, everything like is so big down there, and like they're in Raleigh, like they're by NC State, things like that, and like I heard that like the tailgates were absolutely insane, like people were going crazy for it. So I don't. I feel like it might you might be trading one for one. Like I think the environments at both seem like they're pretty similar.
Sure, that's what I mean. But Vegas already stole a game in
Well, then,
North Carolina.
yeah, but I think Carolina could pretend. I think Carolina could do the same thing in Vegas.
They'll have to if they want to win
Um,
the series.
that's true. I mean, they could come back home and make it three. Well, they have to take a singular game from
They have to win at least one on the road now,
yeah.
which they are well capable or fully capable of doing. But
I mean, they played two games at the Bell Center, which I think is also a crazy environment. But the Canadians weren't particularly playing well at home during the playoffs. So I think there is some trade. Like they were just not doing that well at the Bell Center throughout the entire playoff series, and then especially at like in the conference finals. But
yeah,
they know how to play in a tough arena because the Bell Center is that.
yeah.
So I think if anything, but also this first game in particular was crazy statistically in terms of like the history. I was like reading up on the stats during one of my night shifts because I was like, this is just absolutely insane. Um, and it was Ehlers from the Canes. He has scored the fastest two goals by one player from the start of a Stanley Cup final in more than 35 years.
Oh wow.
So that was crazy because I think he scored both of the first goals in game one. So that was insane. Jordan Stahl, same thing on the Canes, set the record for amount of time between goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's 16 years and 358 days. But
Oh,
the
because
yeah,
he scored on the Penguins.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the previous record was set by his brother, and it was 16 years and 354 days. So Eric Stahl had the record before him, and he was doing the cheese grater at the game one at Lenovo. So he was there, and it was so. I thought that was such a funny stat because also like, what are the odds it's your brother that sets the record and you beat it? Like that's so funny to me.
Both had long careers, I guess.
Yeah. And then also like Chatfield was the second defenseman in the past 33 years to record multiple points in the opening period of a finals. And I think that was, oh yeah, it was the first time that a goal has been scored in the first 30 seconds of both the first and second period, I think of not I don't think it's of a Stanley Cup final. I think it's of a Stanley Cup final game one at least. It might be in the Stanley
Okay.
Cup finals overall. But yeah, the first time that a goal has been scored in the first 30 seconds of both first and second period. And Theodore and McNabb on the Vegas side, because Carolina is setting all these records. On the Vegas side, Theodore and McNabb are the first set of defensemen on the same yeah, I don't know what I wrote down, but they're the first set of defensemen to record 3 points each in game one of a Stanley Cup final, which is also crazy. So this was just I was like reading all of these stat pulls and they just kept going of these people like doing like crazy things and I was like I'm not at all surprised cuz these teams are insane.
Yeah.
Like both the Hurricanes have been insane the entire season. So that's not totally surprising, but Vegas has come back around so fast. Like after they had I feel like the coaching change like really locked it into place, but then like they finished the season great. And then I'm surprised that like their first two series went the way that they did when their one against Colorado went the way that it did. Like I was like, how are you going 6 games against the Ducks and the Mammoth and then you're sweeping Colorado in 4 games? Like that just felt crazy. But I don't know.
Yeah. I think the Colorado injuries, like you said. But I don't know. We'll see where the series goes, but it seems pretty even and
It does seem even.
hockey's always funny, right? Like it doesn't have nearly the better team isn't always going to win in the way
Yeah.
you can have really like both teams are really good goaltenders, so they can swing the games if they need to, or if they get the chance to, I should say. And I think home ice will be a factor, but we'll see. I think
I think the goalie thing is also big though, because I feel like I saw stuff. I barely have social media, but I saw stuff on social media that was like Hart and Anderson were like these crazy goalies, doing like all of these major saves throughout the entire like conference specific series. But then they go to the, it's like somewhat, I feel like I saw a lot of people being like, oh, they're playing badly. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. I think they're just playing a team of equal power. Like you have both goalies being really good, pretty much making the same amount of saves for the most part. And then you have teams that are like they're. I feel like Carolina and Vegas are actually just one for one. Like they're matched up so well in the sense where like I feel like their power is very evenly distributed among a lot of different people in their teams. Like you talk about Carolina not having a superstar, Vegas like people like Mitch Marner is their like most talked about superstar, but it is spread out. I mean, Brett Howden has 13 playoff goals and he's leading everyone in the postseason. And Pavel Dorofeev is right up next. And then Jack Eichel has the most points. And then Carter Hart's playing the way that he's playing. And then you also have just like McNabb and Theodore, and also like they're playing so well too. And I feel like it's, you just have this dynamic where they're pretty much just going one for one. And I don't think it's like the goalies are doing badly. I think they're just finally playing a team that like matches their caliber throughout the playoffs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a healthy Avalanche team, right, is
That's
going to be a
yeah.
heart attack to stop. But they
I
weren't healthy, so
did you see that they started Wedgwood in game 4 of the Avalanche Knights series,
was
no
that
weapon
just to give Carter
Knights?
rest?
It was Wedgwood's the backup goalie for
Oh,
Colorado.
sorry, yeah,
Um I think that that is, I saw a lot of things where it was like he played really well for how the game went. Like I don't think it was like a, oh, why did you do that? Like you're a detriment to our team. But I saw people being like, Blackwood's not playing bad. Like they were like, this isn't your goalie isn't your problem. So why?
sometimes you just change the mojo, though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it makes sense, but I feel like people were kind of talking about it and they were like, this feels like disrespectful to like Blackwood, which I think it like kind of is like going 0-3 in the conference finals at that point, like, it does kind of suck. And it's like, okay, yeah, put in a different goalie, especially like Wedgwood has played in the playoffs before. So it wouldn't have been his first time starting in the playoffs, or yeah, he did start earlier. He started in round 2, but it wouldn't have been his first time starting. But it's kind of like it, I feel like the vibe around it was kind of weird of like, why is like this the change that you're making when like Blackwood wasn't your problem? Like this was, but I to your point, I see the logic in making some change and hoping that it works. Um, and it didn't, unfortunately. But I don't think it was because he played badly. I don't think that either Vegas or Carolina can put in their backup goalie at this point, because Aiden Hill hasn't played since April 9th. He's the backup goalie for the Knights. And Brandon Bussey hasn't played since April 14th. So, like, because Hart and Anderson were never pulled, let alone like them starting a game, like, they were never put in after like Hart or Anderson have been pulled. So, I think that like they, you just can't play, like you can't take pretty much 2 months at this point. By like game 4 it'll have been 2 months since on
Yeah,
the
they
dot
won't be in
that
the. They won't have rhythm. Yeah,
yeah, they won't. I mean, especially against a team that good. Like if you were gonna give them any play time in like the earlier part of the playoffs, like that would have been different. But to like have months of not starting or not playing against an opposing team, like sure you're playing in practices, but to not play against an opposing team, like that's a little too long of a gap to just be like playing against your own players and like trying to like save against your own players in practices versus like against an opponent. Um, so I think like regardless of how Hart and Anderson play, they're staying in net. I feel like unless someone like crashes and burns or like goes out on injury and then you're playing them. But I think if that were to happen, then I think that that team would be so disadvantaged. Like it would just be crazy. Um, I mean, not that I, once again, not that I think that anything like there is any reason to pull either of them. It's been pretty evenly matched for the most part. But they're the only two who have never been out of like the whole all every team in the playoffs. They're the only two that have never been subbed in by their backup goalie. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. You have backups for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I agree. It won't be a strategic move, but like injuries happen,
Hmm.
or like I guess if one guy really loses it in one of the games,
Hmm.
but I doubt that would happen. Both the guys have been amazing all playoffs too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, do you have any other thoughts? Is this I guess we'll see how things go tonight.
yeah. I mean, the turn back to the second home site is always a really telling game.
Yeah.
Just in any sort of 7 game series setting. I think if I had to pick a team right now, I think Vegas is going to win the series.
Yeah.
Um, but could be either. I know a lot of people are cheering for Carolina, but
I think they like Carolina, it's been 20 years since they had a cup. To see like Rod Brindamore like coaching the team that like he won the cup with in 2006, like I think that that would be awesome. And they've been so close so many times. I guess like 2 times in the past like 3 years, but I consider that so many times. That it would be really awesome to see them take this. Interesting that not a singular Northern or Canadian team is in the mix, though. Like I don't know. That's just marginally shocking, but I think it's good for like the diversity of hockey viewers to be bringing the playoffs just purely to the southern half of the country.
yeah, there
So
hasn't been
pretty
a
good.
Canadian team that won the cup in
I know, and
time.
the Canadians were so close. They weren't, but making it to the conference finals did put them pretty close. The only team to not be number one seed in their division to make it to the conference finals. So good for them.
Yeah,
But
I mean Edmonton made the finals the last 2 years and lost.
well,
So
yeah. I mean, I meant from this year, like in their division.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah.
I meant Canadian teams as in not the Canadians,
Oh,
but
no, yeah. But I meant for this year, the Canadians were close.
they were. Yeah,
They almost, it was in sight. But I think they're fine because Caulfield won Lady Bang and Nick Suzuki won the Selkie. So they're doing fine over there.
they'll be
They're
okay.
okay. They'll be okay. They were tired. I was like, you, these people, like, they need a break. They need the rest. They were just wiped from like the first 2 rounds. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes tonight. I'm rooting for Carolina just because Vegas has had enough. They've had enough trips to the finals, and they're going to be making so many more if they play the way that they played at the end of this season, at the end of this regular season. If they play like that going into next year, then they are going to be doing so well. The future is bright for them in particular, for also probably also for Carolina, but for them in particular, especially since Mark Stone's been back in and everything too. Um, but we'll see how things go tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
I can come back to talk about the end
yeah,
of the series. So
I'm saving all of this information in my brain for when I get my hockey coach certification.
yeah,
So we'll see how that goes. Um, and then last thing is, who do you think is going to win the Conn Smythe if um out of like the two teams? Like who would you, if like you would pick someone from Carolina versus pick someone from Vegas, and then who do you think of those two people?
that's the series MVP.
Mhm.
Probably Marner. Like if Vegas wins, if I think Vegas is going to win the series, and he's their best offensive player.
Yeah.
So yeah, or at
Hmm.
least or the playoffs he has been.
All right.
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah, cool.
Well, thank you for watching or for listening. We'll see you in a couple weeks. And maybe by that point, the series will be wrapped up. So
Yeah,
who knows what there will be to talk about the next time we reconvene. So,
cool.
all right.